Hello, today I'm going to talk about the virtual lab, which is second part of the simulation. So in this virtual lab, you're going to see how our real lab is being substituted or replaced by the technology, and where all the experiment can be performed using devices from any place, anywhere, anytime. So let's look at what is virtual lab. Today we are very much familiar with the terms that we used in module technology, data science, automations, virtual learning like AR, virtual AR is augmented reality, VR is a virtual reality. We have also heard about robotics and then artificial intelligence, which is after all a machine learning, where machine understands and do work like a human being. The philosophy of the virtual lab is, why the virtual lab? What is the intent behind the virtual lab? In fact, when there is limited resources in a real lab, we can use technology where these very sophisticated lab experiment can be easily performed on the devices. Today, with the coming of the internet and technology, many of the difficult, challenging, time-consuming, and the very risky experiment can be easily performed on the devices. These web-based experiment can be done from any place, anywhere. This has come to end play because many of our students are learning online and have to learn from our distance. So especially for the STEM students, when they learn from a distance, they lose many of the lab skills. So in order to provide the lab skill, this is very important. The virtual lab is totally replacing the real lab. So how this data can be maintained, how can this experiment can be possible? There need one centrally controlled server where all the experiment performed any part of the world can be easily retrieved. Motivations behind having this virtual lab. This is still have some problem. Students at a distance can learn easily any of the experiment and share the equipments which are costly, and also proliferate the lab experiments from any place, anywhere. The basic idea is that the locally server, or if there is a central server that can have this setup established, the device where we can perform experiment, it can be shared via internet to any of the device that is being shared the link, so we can work on cloud lab. The objective of the virtual lab or the virtual lab work is remote access to do any kind of experiment from far off distance. And also this is basically looked at the students of high schools, university graduates level, postgraduate level, as well as researcher and the scholars, to enable the students to learn on their own pace and arouse their curiosity. So a lot of researches can happen within the virtual lab. So remote, any classes, any level of the learning, and can happen on their own pace. Finally, this can be easily chip in or plug in into the learning management system. Now, what are the different types of virtual lab? we have already seen that or heard about the simulation or the modeling lab. So simulation based labs are quite easy, is the most simplest of all. Then there is a second type, is the measurement based lab, where we try to collect data. And then finally the remote triggered lab, where we try to collect, try to really act with our brains. We try to manipulate our emotions. So the highest the virtual lab that has been leveled highest is the remote triggered. As you move from simulation to the remote, it becomes closer and closer to the reality, meaning it is coming closer and closer to the reality. And of course, scalability, doable things becomes a little bit challenging, little difficult. Okay, so as you go from simulation to measurement base, it is becoming more and more reality. Let's see how what are some of the examples. Measurement based, simulation based or the model based virtual lab is made. If you have a very often word that you have heard is the fate. Fate is made. These fate based simulations are made with the Java programming, where you will see again a lot of interaction for the learner in this. So some of the example here I have just brought in here, the cloud lab for STEM learner. I have just shared you linked here, you can get in, and some of the experiment that you can do is like mathematics, biology, chemistry, robotic, agriculture and engineering, even including physics are available here. Now for these, please go to the lab with the link. You can get in and then try for 30 days trial, and then you will get to experience how to do it. Even the agriculture, how do you plant, how do you see, I mean these are quite interesting that you can get insight through the link. Now coming to the measurement based lab, in this case you have the instruments like photospectrometry, like microscope, like you have the instrument that requires to collect data, especially measuring. When you are collecting a data, then you must have the data collecting records, and then you have to interpret. So this is what happens when you use the instrument based virtual lab. You will measure a data. So when you measure a data, then what you do is you have to get into a real lab, right? You have to get into a real like labs, a virtual lab. So for this you have then one here, I have one white cloth lab assistant is sitting nearby, and all the instruments are available, and all the reagents are available for you to perform experiment. Okay, when you perform an experiment, it will be all guided by the lab assistant, and if you know the procedure, you don't have to even have a lab assistant. You can perform these experiments when you get into the Labister lab or the proxy lab. This is the link that I'm going to share to you. Please register, get in a trial version, see it, perform the experiment. How I have done it, I have also shared my own experience and some of the video with this link, and then you can also watch what I have done there, how I have got inside the lab. And this is the link for you to get inside and then get the trial version and then play. If we pay, we are going to get beautiful experiments, so great. It would be a wonder for us to perform all those experiments. Let me share you differences between the virtual measurement based and the remote trigger lab. Simulations, which I have talked to you yesterday, so I don't have to include here. Now coming to measurement based lab is almost like a real lab, where you are having a sophisticated instrument like electronic microscope. You will have a photospectrometry, and other experiments like even pH meters, where you are collecting a data, generating a data. So original data that you have collected can be analyzed and interpreted within the lab. Remote trigger lab is again much more closer than the measurement based lab, because this will be tightly close to your minds, which will be, if you have heard of a headset, if you put a headset on your eyes like a goggle, then you will see some of the events that happens that you can control with your remote. With your remote you can control that events, and this is a rail. Because at times you will even collapse on the floor, because this will take your emotions, that you become so emotional, so much attached to the events, and then sometimes you collapse, sometimes you cry. This is what happens on the remote trigger lab. For example, a remote trigger lab like planetariums, aeroplane, driving a car. This cannot happen very directly. You have to learn. So this happens in a lab where this has been simulated with a remote triggered. So you have been using a remote, and you are able to get into a real event with your minds, with your heart, and with your action. As a result, this is the closest the virtual lab. Therefore, we call it, this is a remote triggered virtual lab. Remote trigger virtual lab is, I just shared to you, mostly we try to put a headset, and we try to shoot, we try to jump, we try to do experiment, we try to run, we try to fly aeroplane. These are all possible using these headsets. So this, since it play with our minds, as a result they are the closest virtual lab. Remote trigger lab, if you see, this has been used else in some of the universities like Maryland, where they found that using a virtual trigger, remote triggered virtual lab, the brains gets more and more refined, and it enhances the response. It becomes more active and quick and fast in reacting. If we start using headset and then start reacting to the event, our brain becomes more accurate and becomes much more fast in responding. And this is how they found. Without headset, it was 9% accurate, whereas with the using headset and with the time, it has found 12% more accurate. Now for this, if you see, I'll just show you this a video and how it works. Okay, I will show you this video and ask you the questions. Please carefully look at this picture, this video, which I am going to show it to you. Watch this video carefully and find out whether the dots are moving in a circular patterns. Are they moving circular pattern? Please tell me the circular pattern. Look at carefully the pattern and then keep in mind, okay? And then you need to respond later on how the white dot is moving, how the white dots are moving, each white dot, okay? How each white dot are moving. Is it circular? If yes, yes. If no, no. Please keep in mind, okay? Watch the video. Okay, you may have noted the white dot was moving around, and when it was moving. Hello everybody. Sorry. This is again. I like to. Sorry, I was. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. I just show you, is the dot moving in a circular pattern? Then what you would like to tell? Yes. I think everybody will agree that it was moving around, right? The white dot was going around in the on the red plane. It was going around. So if that's the case, you need to answer me by watching this again, this link I've shared here. I'm also going to share to you all the links. So please watch this and find out what is the difference between the one that is I have shown and one that you are expected. Okay, now let's continue. What is the intent of the users? What happens to the which are the targets? Which are the target learners here? When you, who all can use the virtual lab? The virtual lab can be used by the college students, used by high school students, can be used by the institutions or the researchers, can also be used by the medical college, university colleges, engineering colleges. So which means everybody. I'm talking about virtual lab is useful for all the learners. What are these features? Anytime, anywhere, user friendly, real world lab experience. You get exactly the same experience of what you get in the lab. Immersive and interactive. It's very interactive, and then it will immerse, you will dissolve into it as you go by. The cost effective, because if you have a virtual lab, and then you don't have to pay much because it is cheaper than the real lab. And now the value of the value additions by this virtual lab is that what is added to the brain. At any time, learner can learn on their own demand, integrate learning into their own pace, in their own place, own place. Then this evaluation can be even this kind of pre and post can be done. You can find out what kind of differences in your own learning. This is the reason, in fact, I was trying to get you the feedback, but only 4 of you have filled up. Animations are better insight, because through the animation you learn deeper, and there should be learning from the mistake. You do one time, you can do repeat 100 times. So in the lab, if you cannot do 100 times, you cannot bring same agent reagent, which are costly. But here you can repeat again and again and again, right? Then now again, studies also shows that there is a uniform rise when the simulation is used. There is rapid rise in the students' learning or the students' performance. Likewise, sorry, it was sorry, until now I have showing quite a small slide. This is also proven that research has proven that using a simulated labs, it will enhance the students' learning from, if we take it from a traditional to the Labster lab, the difference is 76%. If you take it from the traditional to the simulated lab, combining together, then it becomes 101, meaning it is really improved in. So class can be in the traditional class, we need to incorporate simulated teaching, meaning we need to use the virtual lab. Now I want to add a little more on what is VR and what is AR. We often heard that VR, virtual reality, and AR is augmented reality. I also said that a remote trigger lab is much more closer than the measurement based lab, because virtual realities is that deals with our brain, that deals with our emotions, that deals with our state of mind. For example, let us see right now. I will go take you to a small video. This video would again show you how this remote trigger lab is changing our mindset. This lady is just on the floor and asked to move from just few steps. Okay, this lady is being asked to move a few steps. However, she cannot move after one step. She cannot move further. Why has this happened? Can you see?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yes, what happened in the picture? Have you seen that lady who was just making 2 steps, and then she started, my God, I found on the top. Emotionally, fully emotionally taken up by the virtually triggered remote lab. The headset that has been put has emotionally taken in so much of the mind has gone into the event, and she nearly lost his all control, and changed such kind of things changes the mind states. So remote trigger, especially remote trigger lab, is real because your mind would be controlled by the event. That is why such headset, if you continue to use, you have also seen that research has proven that the efficiency of learning becomes much more faster. Reactions of telling answer, responding answer becomes much more faster and becomes more accurate. So this is why the virtual lab particularly useful, and remote triggered virtual lab is more and more real. So these are some of the advantage of using AR. Triggers the mind to be more accurate, mind reacts faster, mind memory increases, physical safety. Try most dangerous experiment like astronauting training, because flying aeroplane is not a so easy job. First thing is you need to take in the practice. So 3D graphics and better learning than 2D graphics. Choose 3D screen than flat 3D screen than flat screen. These are some of the things slowly coming up in the market and is already come into the education system. Analysis has proven that yes, how these different types of feedback of people's about the about the virtual lab. However, I also intended in a similar manner, but you all, I don't know how many of you gave the feedback to me. I wanted to see very honest and true feedback, but only 4 have done it before you have looked at. Once you have seen my input, then it would be obvious that you will feel that you know. I wanted to see how much you know, what do you think about it. So yeah, I have shared you whatever you have written, those 4 of you who has written already. And coming to the virtual lab worldwide, the age group and then year, I have shown you which year how many people use. You see how the line is moving upward. In the 2015 it was very less, 2016 almost, 2014 there were hardly none. Now 2018, 2010, now it has increased drastically. Now we are in 2022, it must have become so many people using it. It has started from 2014. Social impact, sharing of lab resources, connecting rural remote schools and university and college, paradigm shift from ICT use, ICT based learning, platform for exchanging knowledge, and quality improvement in science, technology, especially STEM learning. So this is very important for us to know. We need to have a paradigm shift in our thinking as well. People always think that science must be learned from lab. No more. Now you can learn from from the ICT. We do lot of learnings far beyond the lab. So especially for STEM learners, we need to use virtual lab. With this, I would like to say thank you very much. However, I would also like you to go through this link that I am going to share you here. So please go through all the links and see it what you learn from here. I also like you to go through all those labs, especially Amrita Labs, Praxi Labs, Labster Labs, Maths Lab. See and feel, get experience. I would also like to go to Magna Hill Publisher Virtual Lab, see it, try to log in. I know it might ask you the money, but this is one of the best lab ever I have seen. With this, thank you very much.